Yo, what's up, everybody? Matty A's back again with Profit Props. This is the Sharp Side. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I will remember to recap first this week. For me, it was 5-3 on props plus 2.57 units last week. Then I lost half a unit on a parlay, crushed by George Pickens playing a few snaps. Joel, do you remember what you did?
9-3 plus 5.19 units last week.
Big week for Joel last week.
Back to back. We got to keep stringing them together.
So overall for the show, you did what? Plus 5?
Plus 5.19.
Okay, so we were up over 7.5 units last week on the show, or right around 7 units on the show. Looking to do that again this week. I believe we were profitable the week before. So stringing together a couple good weeks here. Do really like what we have for today's show. Before we get started, you see the promo code down there below. Use code SHARP25 when you sign up for props.cash. You get 25% off your first payment. And that's what we'll be using to break down all of our props for today. All right, so obviously we'll start with tonight's game. We have Niners at Seahawks. Seahawks are like a -1. Nope, sorry, that's the total. Plus 3.5, I believe, is what I saw pre-show. Let me just double check that for you all. Spread. All right, yeah, still plus 3.5 total on this one's 49.5. I like the Seahawks plus 3.5. No shade, but I did see Book It with Trent is on that as well. That does offer me some caution into taking that play. But I do have a prop in this one. Joe, we'll let you go into the coverages, and then we'll get into any plays we might have.
Yeah, so the Seahawks are going to run man at 32% of the time. They're actually one of the high teams in the league, 59% one high. 27% cover 1, 30.9% cover 3, and then 16% cover 4. The San Francisco 49ers are like almost identical, 29% man, so just a little bit under that. They won't play one high as much, 54%, and then 26.8% cover 1, 28.7% cover 3, and then 18.9% cover 4. So pretty similar schemes there. For me, this is a tough game. I know you have a play in this one, but I didn't like much. I thought there wasn't much value there. But
I agree. When I found my one play for this game, basically everything else for me was right in line with my model projections. It was just Kenneth Walker, both his rushing and receiving yards. I had a little bit of an edge in. I decided to go with his rushing and receiving yards over. Released this, did the whole write-up on Twitter and everything, got this out to my subs maybe a half an hour before I got this out to Twitter. It was still 79.5, 117 when I released it. This one's moved a lot, up to 89.5. Looks like 88.5 is the best number, 89.5 now at FanDuel. I do have the model projection for this one. Damn, I was looking at Zach Charbonnet's last. 1 second. I would put it in my write-up. 107 point something. I'll tell you real quick. I'm sorry, it's 97. So still very big edge, especially on 79.5. 89.5 becoming maybe a little more cautious with it. Yeah. Loved it. But I did the write-up on Twitter, so make sure you guys have both of our notifications on. We're going to get to one that Joel wrote up later that's got a huge amount of closing value since we released it. So that's my only play in this game. I was kind of like you. I didn't love anything else. If I want to break down Walker real quick for everybody that was able to lock it in at 79.5. Big thing for me was carries. He's over this when he gets 11 plus carries. Over this in 14 to 22 games in his career with Geno. Players. I think it was 13 of 21. So, yeah, still really good numbers with Geno. And someone else had a really good write-up on his rushing yards over. Teams are averaging 24 more yards per game versus the San Francisco this year than they are per game. You know what I mean? There's an average of 24 more yards allowed. So I really like this for Walker today. There was a little bit of some concern with his minimal carries last week, but I think this week with the market moving from 11.5 to 13.5 on his attempts.
Yeah, they came out and specifically said they need to get him the ball more. So probably a good spot for this. I'm actually I feel like the 49ers run defense has been underperforming what they should be this year. So that's what keeps me kind of away from it. I think they're a better run defense than what they've shown so far this year. Just based on personnel and what I feel about them. So that kept me away from it. I do like his receiving. I think he ran 56% of the routes last week. Charbonnet is some coming in at like 30%. So pretty significant edge there for Walker. And yeah, he's a 3-down back. They want to just use him as much as possible. They really like him. They've talked all off season about how much they like him. So it just makes sense to get the ball in his hands, especially after how bad of a week he had last week.
So with that being said, did you have any leans in this game, or is that
I do have a lean, and it's Jackson Smith and Jigba under 47.5 receiving yards. For me, the 49ers have been super tough on slot receivers. He's going to work most out of the slot. His ADOT this year, I think, is something like 5.5 yards. So it's super, super low. So even if he catches like 5 balls, I could see him easily going under this. I was hoping this would get to 50.5. It's not 50.5 on MGM anymore. If it was 50.5, I would be playing this. 46.5 is a little meh for me. So, but I do like this. I think if I have this up, the 49ers are allowing some of the least passing target percentage to slot receivers this year. And they held Amon-Ra to like, actually, let me see. Oh, that wasn't the 49ers. Either way, they're allowing, I think, the least amount of target share to the slot wide receivers. So I just don't think this is a very good spot for Njigba with the ADOT he has.
That's interesting because I kind of like this spot for DK, but my projections weren't like far enough.
I like it for the 2 outside guys. I like it for Lockett, and I like it for DK. They really force the ball to outside receivers. Let me see if I can find the stat real fast.
So I do agree with you on Njigba too. My model projections are around 40, so not enough of an edge for me to play the under. But I agree, if it were at 50 right now, I'd have to strongly consider it. DK, I'm at 75 yards, so there's definitely an edge there. But man, I don't know if it's quite enough. Like I would want a little more. I don't know. That's 10 yards. Like it's really right where it should be. That's like on the edge of a play for me. I really like DK.
So just for statistic purposes, 44% of the targets so far this season against the Niners are going out wide, only 27.6% to the slot. That's the 3rd lowest in the NFL. So they've been good there.
There's some 63 and a half out there. I'll leave it as a lean though.
For DK?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like both the sides of that. They've given up some big plays in the receiving game too. Let's see. So like DK's longest reception would be nice. They've given up a 36-yard reception, a 97-yard reception, a 50-yard reception, a 21-yard reception, and then a 34-yard reception in each of their games so far. So big plays against this defense. This was 22.5 earlier, but yeah,
it's gone up a little bit.
Makes sense. I mean, it just makes sense in this spot.
Man, if he has a reception of 25 yards, I don't think there's any way he doesn't have 70 receiving yards. There was another play I wanted to talk about in this one. I know you don't run a lot of anytime touchdowns, although it seems like you've been curious lately. Man, I like Kittle to score. Look at his red zone targets. He's getting looked at. And then I went and looked at if him and Purdy play together. And he has 1 red zone target. Scoring 56% of the time. Now, I know we're kind of parlaying 2 things to happen there. So plus 175, man, feels like value to me. Feels
zero touchdowns for tight ends this year.
I saw that too. But one of those games, it's like Denver, New England.
Yeah, I mean, not very good tight ends.
The Giants are playing well. I'll give it to the Giants, but
still, they're not Kittle level tight ends that we're talking about there. So it's just you could just toss that, I think.
Denver, New England, Miami without Tua, Detroit. Laporta got hurt in that game, didn't he? And then
I do believe so, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm probably not going to play that one either, but man, that's a strong lean for me right there.
Plus
Scored 3
175.
straight, plus 175. I'll be honest with you. When we get off of here, I'll lock in my DraftKings no sweat bet. It'll probably be Kittle and Metcalf to score. When you and I started the stream before, I was telling you I was comparing prices. FanDuel was at plus 469. DraftKings was at plus 500. So that'll probably be my DraftKings no sweat.
Okay, I like it.
All right, next game on the board, we've got a London game, right? Jacksonville and Chicago.
Yep.
All right, so we've got a total on this one. Let me get back over here, fellas. Bears are 1.5 to 2 point favorite. Total on this one's 44 to 44.5. Joel, you want to give us the coverages?
Yeah, so Jacksonville's a heavy man-to-man team. It's actually been going down in recent weeks, though. So something to keep an eye on. They started like super heavy. It was like 70% plus. They're all the way down to 43.8% man. And then they'll just 50-50 on 2 high and 1 high looks. 37.1% cover 1. It's the third highest in the league. And then they'll play a bunch of cover 2, 25.7% of the time. As far as the Bears, they're 22nd in the league in man coverage, 22.7%, 74% of the time they're going to play zone, 20% cover 1, 38% cover 3, 15% cover 4.
So we'll go ahead and transition into your play. I might still be tailing
I
this.
do have a play in this one. I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift over. I got him at 15.5 receiving yards at MGM. This is at 17.5 now on FanDuel. I'd play it there. 18.5 gets a little bit more iffy, but I mean, I still do like it there. The Jaguars have just been kind of bleeding yards to running backs, and it makes sense because of how much man-to-man they're playing, that like the yardage would be so good for when a back catches the ball. And so against cover 1, cover 2 this season, Swift, he leads the team in targets per route run. So 37% of the routes he runs, he's being targeted by Caleb Williams. And his yards per route run is 3.05. So really high numbers. He runs at least 15 routes every single game, usually about 15 to 20 routes. So with a 3.05 yards per route run, and if he's running 15 routes, you're looking at like 45 yards. I'd expect that to come down some this season, but I really like this matchup specifically for him. This season, Achane 7 for 76, James Cook 4 for 48, Ty Johnson 3 for 38, Ogunbowale 4 for 47. Trey Sermon, he's not known as a pass catching back at all, had 6 for 25, and then Goodson had 3 for 31. So just really like this spot for Swift.
I can 100% agree with you there. I told you my model projections earlier today. I'll double back on them.
30, yeah.
Something like that.
100% edge for you.
Yeah, I'm probably still going to end up on this. 17.5 is what the current line is. Wish I locked it in when you did, but I honestly still think the value's there.
2 yards, isn't it?
35.02 is where I'm at right now. So I still really like that play a lot. Probably going to tail you there. Let me pull that up. Did you have any other plays or leans in this game?
I do have a lean. I just think for some reason that this is a great Keenan Allen get right spot.
Okay.
Against man coverage this year, Keenan Allen, 28% targets per route run. I thought about laddering his receptions up. It's 4.5 minus 105. To me, this just feels like I looked at the average separation score, or ASS, as Fantasy Data Points likes to call it.
Yep.
He's their best separator against man so far this year. So I think the targets will eventually come. He had 11 targets week 1, and when I see 28% targets per route run against man, like that kind of jumps off the screen to me. For 5 receptions for Keenan Allen, that's like nothing, but he's in a loaded room. So I ended up opting for Swift. I think his workload is kind of more consistent week to week compared to what Keenan Allen's would be, just because of how good those receivers around Keenan Allen are as well.
I kind of like that as well. I don't know. I'm big on rookies, and rookie in London. I don't know if I've ever seen that. So
Sure.
I am going to go Trevor Lawrence under passing yards though. So
I do like this too.
Almost a little bit of a glitch line I caught earlier in the week. ESPN bet was at under 249.5. but at minus 145. So I hit it there. Market corrected. It went down to 136.5. I also liked it at that price. Told anyone if they didn't get the glitch, I still liked it at 236.5. It's gone down a little bit since then. Now we're getting into the point where, like, do I still think it's playable? I don't know if I do. My model projection on Lawrence here is 216.5 actually. So a little bit of let me see. I'll pull this up. A little bit of a lean still at 230, but I don't like it near as much. But loved it at 236.5. So maybe this is something first drive if he plays well, if you want to get on it live under, especially if he plays well, they take the lead. Kind of a positive correlation there. So don't love it at the current market price. I think most of my plays I do still like at the current model price. This might be the only one that may have moved too far.
I like this one a lot too. I'm a big believer in the Chicago secondary. I think they've been really good this year, and I think that continues. So talented group.
Agree. All right, so we're going to go on to Tampa Bay and New Orleans. That's what you got next as well.
Yep.
Tampa Bay 3.5 point favorite, 41.5 on the total. I have no opinion on the side and total on this one. When the line first opened, I thought I liked Tampa Bay. Then I sat and thought about it for an hour or two before I bet it. The more I bet it, I was like, maybe New Orleans gets right at home. So I just stayed completely away from this one. I saw Kamara practice today. Someone else.
No Derek Carr, though. No Derek Carr.
Who's the backup?
Spencer Rattler is getting the start.
That's right. He's the one who said he's going to be throwing it to Olave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm torn. 3.5 kind of feels light for a backup QV.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, I definitely lean Tampa in this one for sure. This game's in.
Sorry. You want to go ahead and do this?
Real quick, this game's in Tampa?
No, this is in New Orleans. They left early before the storm. Yeah, I remember that was a thing on Twitter. Yep.
Yeah, I'll go over coverages real fast. 31% of the time, New Orleans is playing man. 26.2% cover one. They'll play cover two at a high rate at 23.8%, and then cover three at 24.3%. Tampa Bay, the highest zone team in the league, the least amount of man. 84.3% of the time they're going to be playing zone. Most of that's coming from cover three, 43% of the time, 20% of the time cover four, and then like 18% of the time cover two, rarely using cover one at 9%. So this one was weird because there wasn't a lot of props up this week, waiting for Derek Carr news and such. But
yeah, I agree. I have no real read on this game. You don't know if Kamara's healthy, if Kamara plays or not. Derek Carr is out, so you've got a backup quarterback. I don't have any leans or reads in this game. Maybe come Sunday when we know who all's playing. I've kind of been a Kamara supporter all year, so if Kamara plays, maybe a chance.
I think a Kamara longest rush in this one is going to be a nice spot.
I agree.
So far this year, Tampa Bay is fourth in the league at explosive run rate. 8.1% of the runs that have been ran on them have gone for 15 plus yards. So a Kamara longest rush is something I would like to see.
What would you think about Bucky Irving rushing yards?
I was interested in Bucky Irving. I looked at the line though. The Saints have some weird splits in their run defense. I think the run defense is pretty bad. I'll say that. But against zone concept runs, 5.37 yards per carry. Against man gap concept runs, 3.53 yards per carry. So big split there. Most of Bucky's rushes are coming from those man gap concepts. Kept me off of it. If he was running from mostly zone concepts, I'd have been all over that one.
Yeah. Still lean over. It's also kind of hard to tell like who's going to get how many attempts per week.
Yeah.
10-9 last week, 10-9 the week before.
And he barely got over that. I think it was real late in the game when he got over that.
Lean over for me. My model projection is 50, so significant edge, but I'm just worried the attempts won't be there. My attempts are at 10.15. If he gets 9, I don't know that that's worth 13 yards though. But what if he gets 8? Now we're getting close. This is a lean for me, a strong lean for me though. Like I do like
If he
Bucky.
gets 10, he's going over. I can
I think
guarantee you
so
that.
too.
It's just, is he getting 10? I
Market's
have no
not up
idea.
yet. Kamara, my model projections are 76 on his rushing yards, so a slight lean.
Is his lineup?
Rushing, not receiving. That also
Oh,
might
what's
be
his longest rush?
Lions pick or some shit. I don't know. Oh yeah, Caesars is up.
Does he have a longest rush?
Not seeing any books up there. Oh,
Okay.
why am I on my other computer? I should be pulling this up on this one. Sorry, y'all.
You're good. You're good.
Using two computers here. Rush yards, Kamara, longest rush, 14 and a half. Yeah. Yeah,
He
be
does have a
interesting.
14. If it's 14
No,
and a half, I will probably play it.
agreed. That's just kind of where props.cash has set the number, I think, based off his average. But I agree. If it were at 14 and a half, I'd take it. Receiving yards at 35, no edge. I'm at 38, so that edge is kind of dried up.
It's not even out. That's not even a line.
Oh, good
That
call.
was a great play though last week.
Appreciate
I
that.
should have took that.
I was out on that one early. Evans and Godwin, no real edges for me, and then not much out for the New Orleans receivers. You good to
I'd
just
agree. Yep.
All right, Arizona and Green Bay. Green Bay is a 5-point favorite. Total on this one is 47 and a half. There are some 47s out there, juiced to the over. No opinion side or total, but I will let Joel break down the coverages for us.
Yeah, Green Bay's going to run about 25% of the time man coverage, 58% of the time one high, and that's 23% cover one, 32% cover three. As far as the Cardinals, about the same, 24% man. That's mostly going to come from cover one, but they'll run some cover zero as well, stack the box 6.1% of the time. And then 38% of their zone defense is coming from cover three. We both have a play in this one. We collabed on it. We're both taking Josh Jacobs over 67 and a half rushing yards. To me, this Cardinals run defense is one of the worst in the league. They're bad against both man gap, both zone rushing styles. And I think Jacobs is mostly a zone runner, if I'm not mistaken. Just find my right over here. Yeah. So they're allowing the 8th most yards per attempt before contact as well. So Jacobs 2.59 yards per carry after contact. I think that he had 19 carries last week. I think he ends up somewhere in that range again, because this is a 5.5 point spread, I believe. And I like the Packers to be in the lead and in control of this game. So one of those where I think he salts the game away late. And what was it? How many running backs have gone over this line against them? I think
I think it's one. I think it's 5. I believe it's 5. Mason, Montgomery, Gibbs,
Cooks did
Cook,
19 for 71.
and then
Kyron had a bad game, which is the one that's interesting. 12 for 25 from Kyron. Montgomery and Gibbs did.
Yep.
And then McNichols and Brian Robinson Jr. did, and Jordan Mason had 14 for 89 last week. So this is just a bad run defense.
Yep.
Jacobs has been a guy who can be super inefficient at times. I think this is a game where it's going to be hard for him to be inefficient with how bad the run defense is.
Yeah, I think for me, you hit the nail on the head. I think for me, it's attempts and game script. I think the attempts are going to be there. With my specific read, 14 plus was kind of what I needed, and then the market came out at 16 and a half. So I loved it at that number. I actually have a fairly large edge. If I pull up my model here, Jacobs, 95 yards. So it's a very big edge in my opinion. This might even be a ladder spot. In wins, I know he's on a different team now, etc. In wins, he's averaging 89 yards per game this year. Again, this is icing games. 68% of his last 22 games, he's over it, averaging 96.2 yards per carry. So attempts and game script was kind of the whole idea for this play from my point of view. Loved it when the market came out two attempts over what I thought I needed. So kind of just reiterating everything you said. Love the game script. And
the one worry is that Emmanuel Wilson has been getting a share of his touches. I think he had 5 carries last week. I don't love that, but still 19 to, or I think it was 6 carries, 19 to 6 split. So it's not the most overall concerning thing. If the Packers Last week, I think they were like 50-50 split run to pass. They were leading the Rams the whole game. So I think we could see a very similar situation here.
What
How
is
do
this?
you feel about our boy Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I'm done with him. I'll give
Me
you my
too. I'm done. I'm
projections.
done. I'm
I'll give
done.
you my projections. I'm done with him. I think I was around 70. I think it would warrant a play. 76.53, which makes me so angry because when
Of
I don't
course.
play it this week, it
Still
will
sad.
cash.
Last
But
week was just infuriating.
he had what, 6, 7 targets, bro?
They couldn't connect on a single target. It was just mind blowing how bad it was.
It seems like it would be an okay matchup for him here too, but positive game script. I mean, it's a negative for the Cardinals, but it's positive for his position. There's definitely an opportunity where I think they're running the 2-minute drill late in the game. He's going to be the go-to guy. And
Kyler loves to just launch it to Michael Wilson, though. Like, he just loves Michael Wilson for some reason.
Yeah, let me give you my projections on Michael Wilson. I'm only at like 40, so not that big of an edge. I don't know. I'm not touching either guy. I'm not touching
Neither am I.
Any other leads in this game, or do you have a play? I think we have the collab play, and that's it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right.
How did you feel about so I looked at this one earlier this week. Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown was like minus, I think it was even money. It's not like minus 125. Only one, but when you look at the red zone rush attempts and you factor in that this is a terrible run defense, I don't know. It feels like he's due for some regression in the touchdown department.
Man, I hate laying minuses on Tutters, but I like the read a lot. A lot. I mean, he's averaging 2.5. Oh, that's on the. I mean, it's still 2.6 this season. I love it. I love it. I wish this were the app so I could break it down even a little further. I love that. I might have to. I don't know. We might have to be
Definitely
on
an
that.
interesting one with how terrible that run defense is.
Hold on. Let me go to the props.cash app here and do a little deeper digging on that. Jacobs. Let me go ahead and just factor in rush attempts. Let's say old buddy's getting 15, 14, 15, 58%. All right, now let's make one of those a red zone. Lord of mercy, 68%. And like you said, due for some positive regression right now.
He's definitely due for positive regression. I mean, he had 4 in that week 1 game. And you don't even worry about Wilson taking those red zone carries away.
I tell you what, brother, if I don't play that straight, it'll be in a parlay this Sunday. I love that read. I think you had another good one.
James Conner
That's it.
was plus 100, which is interesting. And that's in this game as well.
Yep. And again,
I mean,
this one was red zone attempts, man. At
This
least
is
one
60,
game.
62, 69% of games. It's like crazy. They want to hammer him too. Like, they've just been hammering him. He's a lead back, pretty much gets every down of work.
Kyron had 1. Saquon had 3. I think they gave up a couple. No, that's not true. Rushing touchdowns, almost allowing 1 per game. Man, I don't know. I kind of love this one too.
This was at plus 100, which I thought was super interesting.
Pretty sure I cashed. Yeah, I cashed on this week 1. Interesting one. I might run this back too, bro. I like both of those. I really like both of those. I might clip this and make this my anytime touchdown on the what's it called? No
Profit
sweat
X.
on that
Oh.
game. All right. Anything else in that game? I love those 2 anytime tutters. Are you going to run them?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't know how to cap anytime touchdown. I feel like sometimes it's random, but this one, like, when you look at just how often he's hit it, can you give him like 12 plus carries and see how often he's hit that?
Only on the app you can. I'll tell you what it is. 12 plus carries. %, exactly.
See, like that's crazy. That's
80% last 10, 70% all time. Still, 70% you're laying a minus 105. Is there an even money out there?
FanDuel was at plus 100 earlier.
It's moving on us.
I mean, I figured it would.
Dude, I don't know.
Oh,
I love this. I love them both, though. What's the total on this one? 47. It's going to be a shootout by today's standards.
let's see what Green Bay. Green Bay has allowed the 12th most inside the 5 rushing attempts as well. 9.
9 touchdowns inside the 5. I don't worry about Kyler
Attempts.
taking those as much. Okay.
No, I mean, especially when Connor's. I mean, he's done it three games.
I don't know. Do I want to play this right now? I love anytime touchdown bets.
See, I'm scared of anytime tutters. But I do think like from what I was looking at, it looked like an edge to me.
So
I don't think this is that good of a run defense either. I really don't.
No. I think the biggest thing with handicapping this is red zone attempts, whether the receiver or running back. Now, you might have some big break guys where you're laying plus 300-400 and you think they're going to get a deep ball over the top or something. But, if you're looking for slot receivers, tight ends, running backs, you're going to want to see them getting the ball regularly in the red zone. And that's not everything either. You kind of want to see them getting the ball regularly in the end zone and regularly scoring. Like, I can think of a few guys, it seems to be tight ends, that will have a bunch of red zone targets, but very low conversion.
Not getting them.
Yeah. I like them both, though. I would honestly be willing to maybe throw a half a unit on both of these and then a half a unit on the parlay. I think I like this for Sunday. Sunday, 1 o'clock. If I don't release it now, I'll release it before the end of the week, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on that for now, but
pretty sure.
I think I like Connor better just because of the odds.
Yeah, I hate laying minuses on tutters, but 125.05 is not bad. All right, next game. I think I've got a play. No, I've got a lean in the next game. I don't have a play. We're going to go Indiana to Tennessee Titans. Tennessee's a 2.5-point favorite. I haven't heard if Richardson's playing. Total on this one's 43.5. Joe, I'll let you get into the coverages for us.
Yeah, the Titans, 27% man, 70% zone, 20.5% cover 1, 29.1% cover 3, 26.5% cover 4. So that's a pretty high mark there on cover 4 for the Titans. The Colts, one of the lowest man teams in the league, only 15%, second lowest actually. 75.4% is going to be zone, 13.9% cover 1, 15.5% cover 2, very high, 42.8% cover 3. I have a lean in this one as well, but I don't think the line's out on Will Levis's passing yards yet. But when it is out, I will definitely, if it's under 200 yards, I will be all over that. Oh, it is. It's at 238. Huh. No, I'll pass.
So that's what I mean about these DFS books being so.
I would kill that DFS book. Why can't I have DFS here?
I'm about to start driving to Virginia. It's like an hour drive, but I swear I'm about to do it to just lock in a couple slips. They're at minus 197. Let's pull up props.cash here. And I saw it come out at this price, and I'm like, that's so fucking bad. And then now here we are. FanDuel opens up, just laughs at them. Let me give this a refresh. 238. What a difference.
That was like the most, I think these DFS apps just take their average for the season and just chuck it up there.
I swear that's all they do. That's all they do. It looks like there might be lines for Richardson. Did he practice today? You know?
Yeah, full participant, so he will play.
So my lean is Tony Pollard's rushing yards over, and wow, I'm an idiot. I'm the biggest idiot of all time. Liked it when it first opened at 51.5.
It was at 51.5.
You know what? I think when I wrote this down, this was DFS books. I think it opened 61.5 at actual books.
Makes sense. That
Um,
DFS line, gotta
let
love
me
that.
let me give you my projection here. I think it's still an edge, but not as much. 84 yards. So yeah, I do think he still has a big game. He had 88 in the last game. Running backs versus Indy. Bigsby had 101 last week.
Bixby
Jacobs
went
had
crazy.
151 for Jacobs, 159 for Joe Mixon. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just
not a very good run D.
exactly.
65.5 is pretty high for me with Tyjae Spears in that backfield with him.
He had 22 attempts last week.
Yeah, I was on him last week against the Dolphins.
I'm not sure what this was about, though. I'm not sure what this was about. Did he get hurt? I think he did get hurt, didn't he?
No, they were just trailing the whole game. They had to completely abandon the run.
Okay, I think we talked about that last week, actually. Yeah, because you had a play in that game. This is just a lean for me. I'm not going to take it. I honestly wanted this to open at 51.5. I don't think any books actually did, just prize picks. So nothing for me there. And you said you had a lean too?
It was Levis.
Oh, Levis, and then at 238. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right, nothing else for me in this one. Let me just double check my projections, make sure. We might have
I don't
some.
think now there. I think this could be a spot for Calvin Ridley. We know how bad that they've been against receivers this year. 44.5 is very interesting to me. There's a quote about Calvin Ridley. The Titans coach basically said they got to get him the ball more. He said, I've got to do a better job finding ways to get Calvin Ridley the ball. We need to use his speed and explosiveness more. Just get it in his hands every which way we can. So sounds to me like going into this game plan wise, they're going to want to kind of force feed Calvin Ridley. So this is a pretty interesting one for me. Specifically with just how terrible
Indy's been
versus receivers, right? I mean,
Kirk 88, Brian Thomas 122, Pickens 113, Romo Odunze? Is that how you say it? Odunze?
Yep.
112, DJ Moore 78, Nico Collins 117. Yeah, I like that. I like that read a lot. So my projections are rather low. Well, not
I'm
really.
sure they are. His
44
targets have been really bad.
Yeah, only 3 targets each of the last 2 games. If he gets 5, 6, 7 targets, I think it's a great read. Like you said, the coach said they need to get him more involved. 5, 6, 7 targets, I think he's worth 50, 60, 70 yards of production. So just going to be like a targets thing for me. I don't know how to feel about the game script. I know they're 2.5-point favorites. I think the Colts might be – I think it'd be a pick 'em if Joe Flacco started.
I agree. I think Flacco's a better quarterback.
So that might be favorable to Tennessee.
Look at how bad this Indy defense is. Look at these numbers. They're last in like every stat.
29th in passing yards allowed, 31st in rushing yards allowed, 32nd in rushing attempts allowed, 28th in completion percentage, 29th in yards per completion. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's embarrassing.
I like Ridley. Hopkins, let me tell you, market's at 40.5. I'm at 34.5. So definitely not a play there for me.
Let me just check his I mean, if his routes are going up, I think that there's probably a play there because look at his snap share the last couple games.
He was at 44, then 46, but then only 32. Why the drop?
Against Miami, only played 32.
Yeah.
I mean, he came off the injury into this season, so at some point that's going up, and it's just like, can you time that? I'm not sure. I thought that it would come up a little bit more last week. It came up a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's getting targeted when he's on the field.
Yeah, model doesn't like it. I'm going to steer clear. Do think it could be a reasonable buy low spot if you think he's going to do well versus the coverages or something, but no play for me there. No play on the rush yards, pass yards. Let me see what did you like Levis over under? What did you like?
I liked him over if he was at the DFS line of 197, but
Oh, okay. I love him kind of under 238, to be honest. But then you look at this, and I'm like, man, I'll just
I
stay.
hate it. He was a gunslinger last year, dude.
Yeah, and this, we talked about this. 4
He's got
attempts.
weapons. It's not like he doesn't have weapons.
Being injured last week hurts my model projection. So, yeah, completely off of that one for me. No other plays for me. No, you got any other leans?
Nothing.
All right, let's move on. We've got Cleveland at Philly. I know we've got some plays. I know we've got some leans. Cleveland is a 9-point dog, 9.5-point dog to the Texans.
What a fall from grace.
Facts. 42.5, 43 here on the total. No one believes in Cleveland anymore. Is this the week Cleveland figures it out?
No.
I'll laugh so hard.
No.
I will laugh so hard if they win outright this
Trust
week.
me, it is not. What's the money line? What's the money line?
I bet it's plus 500, 600. I'll get you a price.
Oh my.
370 looks like 400. There's a 400 out there. 400 looks like the best.
I mean, when you have that offense, you just can't bet on that. I'm gonna go through coverages though. Cleveland heavy man team, heaviest in the league. It's gonna stay that way for the entire year. 47.7%, 76.2% of that's coming out of one high, easily the highest in the league. So they're like just aggressive on D. 44% cover one, 31% cover three. So like predictable stuff out of them. It's gonna be like that all season long. Philly, number 17 in man defense, 27% of the time, 64% of that time they're going to run zone, 22.1% cover one, 30.3% cover three, and then 19% cover four. I'll start with probably my favorite play of the week, A.J. Brown, over 67.5 receiving yards. I like a ladder on this to 100, to be honest. The dude is just everything that the Browns like to do. A.J. Brown absolutely destroys. If they're going to run man on him, especially with it's trending as if Denzel Ward's not going to play, did not practice today. Grant Delpit did not practice today, so it's looking like they're going to be out those two guys. A.J. Brown last season, 3.83 yards per route run with a 34.3% target share against one high, cover one, and cover three. Last season, just first man-to-man, 3.44 yards per route run. So to me, like just perfect situation for A.J. Brown to just have a monster game. And they'll play him straight up man-to-man. Like they're not going to shy away from that.
I love this read, and I love what you said about laddering this one up to 100. I agree. He's only played one game this year, so you kind of got to take this with a grain of salt. But I haven't projected at 101 yards. So love the spot for him. Kind of just reiterating everything you just said. You actually put me into the insight about the two defensive players being down, Denzel Ward and the other guy you had mentioned. I know you have this play. You said this is your favorite play. I know you have one more. I'll go ahead and set that one up. You're going to take, is it Amari?
Yeah, I'm taking Amari Cooper again. I hate doing it, but I have to do it just because of the numbers. Eagles, like I stated earlier, a ton of cover one, a ton of cover three. They'll mix in cover four. This season, Amari's target share is almost 34% against those coverages, 29% targets per route run, and he has 551 air yards. He should be over this line in about 3 out of 5, at least 4 out of 5, possibly. He had that big drop against Dallas in week 1, 80-yard touchdown call back against the Raiders, and a drop. And the Eagles, it's a 9-point spread. We can reasonably expect the Browns to be trailing most of this game. So we're getting a really good script. The Eagles have allowed at least 2 receivers in 3 out of 4 games from each team to cover this. Jaden Reed had 4 for 138. Romeo Doubs had 4 for 50. Darnell Mooney had 3 for 88. Drake London had 6 for 54. Olave had 6 for 86. Evans had 8 for 94. Godwin had 6 for 69. The targets have been ridiculous, 8+ targets in every single game. So just not something I'm trying to fade. I think we're getting a line that's just too low for what the role he's actually playing right now. It's just like, can he hold on to the ball and can Watson connect with him? I don't even think he has to connect. He only has to connect with him at like a 50% rate for him to get over this.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, bro, like the reason why I still might have to play it, even though I don't want to touch a Browns game ever again,
Nobody
is
does.
one, the game script, 9.5. There should be a
Ton
bunch
of
of
passing
those.
attempts.
Didn't Watson have like a 50 attempt game already once this season? Yeah.
And they
So
can't run the ball.
I can see that happening again here. Second reason is just career-wise. If you look when this man has 8+ targets, which we're through 5 games, he's had no less than 8. Over in 75% of the last 28 career games that match that criteria, averaging, what is that, 83 yards? Man, I know I'm not on this yet. Looks like it's moved a little bit, so you've got some value, but even at 50.5,
No, it's still good there.
still looks like there's plenty of value here. I'll probably be on this one by Sunday. Yeah, it's a great read, man. I mean, the production hasn't been there this year, but my
But
God.
8 drops out. You just cut the drops out, and he's over. He had a big drop against Jacksonville. I'm not sure if that gets him over.
Okay, it
I
was like
don't
a
think it
40-yard
was
drop, didn't you say?
against Dallas. He had like a 40-yard drop.
Okay, Dallas.
And then Vegas 80-yard touchdown called back. So I mean, he had a monster game against Vegas because he also dropped the ball like right in his chest that just went. It was like a 20-yard gain that just went for an interception. So even if he just catches that, even if he doesn't have that call back, he's over the last 3 straight. Against the coverages, there's just too much that lines up for me to not play Amari this week.
I like it.
And every week I've played him. I played him against the Giants. I played him against Washington. Those were the 2 positive matchups that I identified for Amari, and he's hitting both of them. So,
bro, if Deshaun Watson wasn't the quarterback, I'd be on this with you.
oh,
right?
and the thing is if Deshaun Watson plays super bad in this game, like I can fully see a situation where he's benched at halftime and Jameis is coming out, and
I love it if
that helps it. That helps it.
I love it. Jameis would feed the man.
Oh, for sure, and he'd be able to throw it accurately, I'm sure.
I absolutely love it. I had a lean in this game. It was
Jerome Ford, I think.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not gonna play it though because the game's great.
I just hate Jerome Ford.
They're going to be down $1 billion. I think I'm around 60 yards. Let me tell you. Yeah, man, I'm around 70 yards if we're being fully honest. Why? It's because their Phillies allowed 129 yards per game to the rush. 87 out of Kamara, 97, 84. I don't like it. Sometimes my model puts a number out there, and I'm like, I love that. I'm going to play that. Sometimes it puts a number out, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
What's his longest rush at?
Is that a real number?
No.
Okay.
I will tell you that Philly leads the league in explosive run percentage. So 9.7% of the runs against them have been explosive. That's why their run D's been so bad.
Man, I love it. I love the over on his regular rush line, but just the game script's going to keep me off. You saying that makes me want to play the rush line a little bit more because he's like, oh, man, he could bust a 20-yarder out, no issue. But no, you're even a Cleveland fan, and you're like, man, fuck Jerome Ford. So I'm going to stay away.
I just don't like him as a player.
Hey, Chubb's on the 21-day list, brother. Your time's coming.
I don't even know how. I don't even want to bring him back to this situation.
That's true. That's true. All right, we'll move on to the next one then. Cleveland, Houston, New England. We've got a collab play on this one. Houston is a 7 to 7.5 point favorite. Really 7 though. Total on this one's super low, 37.5, 38. Joel, you'll go into coverages, and then we do have a collab bet in this one as well.
Let me just find Houston real fast. All right, so New England, 36% of the time going to run man. That's number 5 in the league. So that plays kind of right into our play. 60% zone, 27.5% cover 1, 23.3% cover 2, and 20.6% cover 3. Houston, 29.9% man. That's 12th in the league. 26.4% of that's cover 1, 27.6% cover 3, and then 24.1% cover 4. And then you could just go ahead and go into our collab play.
So we're going to go with CJ Stroud over 241.5 passing yards. I'll pull that line up here. Little frustrated in the number we got, but I still really like the play. I think the market's now down around 234. Yeah, I'm still seeing that line available. Let me pull this up for y'all. Still really like it. I honestly like it even more. This was my first 2-unit play of the season. I thought the Nico news was baked into the line when we played it. Look, I know Nico's going to go. I know he's on the IR, or was it announced IR, right?
Yeah, he's on the IR.
Out for 4 weeks. Look, I think Diggs steps into that role, fills those shoes, no problem. Tank Dell, I believe, is back this week healthy. And the New England defense is terrible, allowing the 7th most passing yards per game. If you look at some of the quarterbacks they faced. Sorry. Okay, so ignore Huntley. That's trash, right?
I mean, 194 yards from Huntley is even something to.
32 over what market projected. Yeah, definitely worth noting. Brock Purdy about 30 yards over what market projected at 288. Aaron Rodgers at 281, 60 yards over market projection. Geno Smith, shout out WVU, 327 yards, over 100 yards what the market projected. And then New England, or Joe Burrow, that first game was terrible. Right. So I love this spot for Stroud. I think he's going to have around 300 yards, even though the game script is very positive and they should win this game by a lot. I think they're going to look to throw the ball early. I think I did see Mixon playing this week, right? Did you see? That doesn't bother me, though. I do think he's going to get – if I had to be completely honest, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at between 150 and 200 yards into the first half. Couple of throws in the second half to keep drives alive, I think, gets us there. So this is – even though it's moved against us, I think this is a potential ladder spot all the way up to 300.
I will say that I understand Nico's super good, but they just added Diggs. Diggs is no slouch of a receiver. I mean, he can easily step into like a big play role. He did it for years in Buffalo. And some of the stats that I looked into on this, 9.32 yards per attempt against cover 1. So his yards per attempt rises a ton whenever he's playing against man-to-man teams. New England's running man-to-man, the 5th most in the league. So, I mean, a lot of that's probably from Nico. Even if we had 8 yards per attempt, I think he averages 7.8 yards per attempt on the season. Even if we had 8 yards per attempt, we only need like 31 attempts to get over the line. This is honestly, it's kind of just a disrespectful line for CJ Stroud for how talented he is.
Yeah, and I think the market only has it at 31.5 because obviously I think everyone thinks they're going to win this game. New England's now starting the rookie quarterback. I think New England could have hard time even putting drives together. So I don't look at them running clock as an issue here. I think Houston has the ball often. I think when they have it, they'll probably score quick. I think they're going to dice up that secondary. So I agree with you. I think it's a disrespectful line, and I think even if he is at 31, 32 attempts, he's going to clear 250 personally.
Here's a question. How do you feel about Drake? So Drake May opened at 150.5 passing yards. That's like – I mean, I think even Jacoby Brissett was getting 180 lines.
Bro, but look at what Josh Allen did.
That's why I won't touch it.
This is crazy. This defense is nuts. He might not have 100, bro.
It's good.
He might not have 100.
I was also looking at who's the rookie receiver for the Patriots? Oh gosh, I don't know why I can't think of it. Jalen Polk, yeah. Jalen Polk at 24.5 is quite interesting to me. If you scroll down to look at his snap share, they basically last week they unleashed him as just like the number one guy, 100% of the snaps. They just basically said, all right, we're going to string you along slowly a little bit. And last week they were like, screw it. Like you're our on the field, every single play guy. 6 targets. He had one that was a touchdown. It would have been the game-winning touchdown last week that I think would have got him over this line, but he couldn't get 2 feet down. That's a 24.5 is a low line for a guy who's going to play 100% of the snaps.
So I don't know if my model is really sharp or if this is just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. When I put in 7 targets for him, he's at exactly 24.5 receiving yards.
No way.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's kind of like where the market has him at that 7.5 targets mark. I don't love it just because
How
Drake,
good their defense is.
yeah, rookie quarterback. You're going to hear me say that all season. Also,
I think that the rookie quarterback has to be an upgrade from what Brissett was, in my opinion. I just think
maybe.
I just think it has. Like Jacoby Brissett was bad.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know though. You bring a rookie in, no confidence. He's probably. I mean, this is not the team to do it against, is it? I don't know. Tough.
25 yards is just. It's so low. But then again, all their receivers' lines are low because he has 150 passes. Like 25 yards is what? If he gets
Damn
150
near
pass yards. Yeah.
Let me check Hunter Henry real quick. Got him at 34.5. Maybe there's a lean. Probably not going to take it.
Yeah, I probably won't play anything in this.
34.5, but that's Kincaid had 34. Cole Kmet had 27. So lean there. Let me tell you about Tank Dell.
Yeah, check Diggs and Dell.
So Diggs I have at 77 with.
Figured you would be high on Diggs.
How many targets do you think he'll have?
7 to 8 at least.
So I have him at 7.71, getting 77 yards. So yeah, we're right around the same area there. Tank Dell 48. Market is at 57.5. I could see it without Nico, honestly. This is what's killing my model.
Yep.
Yeah, no other plays. I love CJ. I don't care that the market moved against us. I love CJ. Nothing else for me. All right, we'll move on. We'll get through this, get all our plays out to y'all before the game starts. Washington and Baltimore, I do have a play. Honestly, probably my second favorite play this week. Baltimore is a 3.5. Let me double check. 6.5, sorry. Baltimore 6.5 point favorite at home versus Washington this week. 51.5 is the total. I love Baltimore in this game. I've got another play that'll kind of go right in with that. Joe, I'll let you go over coverages first.
Yes, you have two plays in this game. The Commanders 31% man, 62.6% zone. Of note, they give up the most fantasy points per dropback in man coverage. So they're just terrible in the secondary. 22.8% cover 1, 23.4% cover 2, 19.3% cover 3. And then the Ravens, 27% of the time they're going to play man, 22.6% cover 1, 28.8% cover 3, and then 19.7% cover 4.
Like Joel said, I do have two plays in this one. First one I was referring to is going to be Derrick Henry over 80.5 rushing yards. I really like this spot versus this defense. Market has basically stayed the same. I've never seen this. I don't know if this is real. If so, I might go
Mickey Mouse book.
Facts. I have to get somebody to bet it for me. Still like over 80.5. That's where I bet it at. Love this line, -115. He's over this in 4 straight. He's averaging, I want to say, 16 attempts per game in the last 19 attempts per game in the last 5 games. When he has like 15 plus, the numbers are absolutely ridiculous. 72% at 16 plus. They're averaging the second most yards per attempt per game this season, while Henry's at 5.7. They're allowing 5.1. I honestly think Henry's going to average again 5+ yards per attempt this game. It was sweaty last week. I took this last week. It took over.
He should not have got there last week.
You're right. I like it a lot better this week. I know we kind of cashed lucky last week, but I still love it. Released it at 80.5. I don't know if this one will move much. It doesn't feel like it's public, so it might stay there till Sunday. But I love this read. I think he's going to get all the touches. Look at the running backs that have gone against Washington. James Conner had 104. Devin Singletary had 95. Bucky Irving had 62, which is well over his projection. Devin Singletary was 40 yards over projection. Look at this. Everyone but one crazy. Was well over their number. So
I almost want to play Justice Hill.
Rushing
15.5 rushing.
Snap share last week was what? He had 5 rush attempts. I mean, I like it. I mean, I think
he had 5 attempts. That's 20. I think he's getting 25 yards.
I agree. I think he as well averages 4 to 5 yards per carry against this team. I like that as well. Honestly do. I honestly do. I'm not bold enough to take two running backs in the same
No, I
game.
understand. That was my lean. I almost want to do Justice because I think if they're in the lead, I think he does get 5 carries to spell Henry.
Yep. I do have one other play in this one. We'll talk about this one. Austin Eckler over. I released this at 19.5. I believe it was at MGM. FanDuel opened at 18.5. And they still might not be open. I saw Brian Robinson is now questionable. So I don't know if they're still open. If they are, I still love this play. He's over this in every game this season. He did miss one game, and that's why when we look at snap share here in this third game, he only had a 22% snap share because he was hurt end of the first half, early second half. I can't remember. 2 targets in every game. If you look at his career, 2 to 4 targets, which is like kind of what you expect this year. This isn't career, but I think it's last couple seasons. 64% hit rate, averaging 26.7 per game. I think also worth noting is if you bring up the receptions, he's averaging 3 this season, 2.8. Let's say he gets 2. He's got 2 in every game, over an 84% averaging 40 yards. My model projections for this, one moment. Austin Eckler, 32.84. So still really like this line at 18.5, 19.5, 20.5, whatever you have to play it at. And that's not factoring in Brian Robinson. Honestly, if Robinson doesn't play, I think his snap shares doubled. And then, yeah, exactly. I think my model is probably somewhere between 50 and 60 yards for 64 yards for Eckler here. So love it. Love this spot. If it's still open, I'd go to this one now.
I think Baltimore bleeds to running backs as well. So
they do. Yeah, let's go. Let me point that out real quick. Appreciate you mentioning that. Zach Moss went over. Rico, I was on this one as well. Rico went over with 24. Pacheco had 33. So yeah, definitely not uncommon to see receivers go over versus this team. That wraps it up for all my plays. I know you got 2 more and about 5 more games to get through here. We'll move on. You good to move on?
Yeah.
Chargers and Denver. Let me see what the line is here. So the Chargers are a 3-point favorite. Total on this one's 35.5. There are some 36s out there. I think I just felt my voice drop a little bit, knowing I had to talk about this slow-ass game.
An ugly one for sure.
This is an ugly game. I don't have any reads, but we'll let you go over sides and – no, I'm sorry. We'll let you go over coverages and then if any leans we may have.
Yeah, the Broncos 47% man, so heavy man team, second highest in the league. 36% cover 1, 21% cover 3, and then 17% cover 4. And then the Chargers, low man-to-man rate team, 29th in the league, 16% of the time, 81% zone. They'll just kind of mix zones. So cover 3 is their highest at 25%, then cover 4 at 20%, then cover 2 at 23%, and then cover 1 at 11%. Javonte Williams. What's Javonte Williams' receptions line?
$2.5, crazy juice.
Can you check the alts for me?
Yep.
Because I probably will just play this 4+ straight up.
It doesn't look like the alts up yet.
I'll likely be playing the 4+ straight up.
Let me tell you where I'm at on this game. I think I kind of like Javonte too. 3.78. So I would definitely like if that 4 is plus money, I'd find value in it.
I'll be on that. That was one I circled earlier this week. If you look at his, just look at his 2024, and lately he's been catching the ball a ton out of the backfield. I'm trying to pull up some stats right now. I believe the Chargers are the 3rd highest running back target rate. 20.5% of the time teams are targeting the running backs against this Chargers team. So I think we see he's already catching 4 or 5 balls a game lately. I think we see like an easy, I think he catches 4, especially with Bo Nix at quarterback. If they're forcing the ball into checkdowns, that's what Bo Nix loves to do anyways. If we go through them, Madison had 4 for 43 yards, Hubbard 4 receptions, Sanders 3 receptions, Najee had 5 receptions, Patterson had 3 receptions. For me, it's just too obvious of a spot for him to catch 4 balls, especially at plus money.
Yep, I love this. When I see you release this one, I'll probably tail this one as well. Just love the read. I mean, he's going to have 3-4 targets, so the receptions line is going to be there. It's not like his average depth of target is 15, 20 yards. He's behind the line of scrimmage, right over the line of scrimmage. So I love it. Love it.
Not just that, too. Like, the Chargers have the highest check down percentage of the league. So not just running back targets. Like, they're just forcing check downs. Bo Nix loves to check down. Like, this is almost like a match made in heaven for these two.
What about Dobbins? Do you have an opinion on Dobbins?
I like Dobbins this week. Is his rushing lineup? No, that's
Oh, I love Dobbins when it really comes out.
yeah, but that's a prize for you. You can't even
I
trust
bet it'll be at like 64, 65. Like, they're just so bad.
what? I guarantee it'll be higher, especially with like the work Dobbins has been getting lately.
Yep.
Gus Edwards is questionable, so I'm sure they're waiting for that.
Yep. Could be a huge week from Dobbins, though. No other players. Let me check what I had for Cortland Sutton. 50, 56, 55.98. A little bit of a lean over there for Sutton.
Plus 160 for Javonte Williams to catch 4 balls.
I like that, bro. Plus 160. Where's that? 365?
That's 365.
I like that.
How many? Let's just make sure he's running routes. If he's running like the majority of the routes, it's just 12 routes last week. Ugh.
Is that Sutton 12 routes?
Javonte, only 12 routes, 6 targets on 12 routes. That's not ideal.
What's his yards after catch average this season? Wow.
The yards is interesting, though, because Chuba only had 12 yards on 4 catches. Miles Sanders, 5 yards on 3 catches. Najee only had 16 yards on 5 catches.
You're right, bro.
Patterson only had 15 yards on 3 catches. So they're forcing him into checkdowns, and then they're just
receptions is the read, bro. You're all over this one. Receptions is the read.
I've been waiting for this one. I was hoping we could get a 2.5 at like just reasonable.
Yeah,
you're a minus 140. I would slam it.
I think you're right on. Hit the 4 plus 160, bro. I think you're right on it. I think
the 12 routes is a little concerning. Only running 12 routes
against Las Vegas. Okay, yeah.
How many times did they throw? Because they won big, 27 attempts.
That's almost half of the attempts he's running the route.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sit on this one, but that's I might like even just a half unit.
Man, I tell you what, you should put a half a unit. I swear every freaking lean that we spend actual time on and that we don't play smacks.
Yeah.
Everyone.
No, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next one then. Pittsburgh at the Raiders. Pittsburgh at the Raiders. Yes, correct. Pittsburgh's a 3-point favorite. There are 2.5s out there, but they're juiced crazy. 36.5, 37 seems to be the total on this. No plays for me, but I do have a lean or two. Joe, I'll let you do the coverages.
Pittsburgh. Who else? Sorry.
Pittsburgh and the Raiders at Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Yeah, you're right. So Vegas, 30.7% of the time are going to run man coverage. 21.2% of the time cover 1. 29.6% of the time cover 3. And then Pittsburgh, I'm always surprised by how low their man coverage rate is. 21%, 24th in the league. 19.4% cover 1. 47.6% cover 3. Really high number there. And then 69% of the time is 1 high. That's 3rd highest in the league. So there's some splits you can attack there on the Raiders side for sure, if you wanted to.
There's been rumblings. I live just an hour and a half or so outside of Pittsburgh. There's been rumblings that Mike Tomlin does like to keep shit close to his chest, but there's been rumblings
Sure.
that Russell Wilson might actually start this week. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Justin Fields starts, and I think Justin Fields has a good game. My lean in this would be Justin Fields passing yards over. Market is 175.5, basically everywhere that's opened. I'm around 215. Struggled last week versus Dallas. Indy, I'll give you that he struggled in the first half versus Indy. I don't know. I just don't believe in Las Vegas. I don't know that they'll be able to move the ball. I know they said they're starting Aiden now. Devontae's not playing. Apparently he's actually hurt and they're not just holding him, although I think that's just a leverage thing there. So for me, I just think Pittsburgh's going to have the ball a lot, and I don't really love Najee in this spot. I think that's the other reason I'm all over this. Do have a lean towards Pickens receiving yards over, but
Can't
Burn
play it right now.
agreed. The target share went down.
The snaps.
share went down exactly. So I'm all the way away from Pickens, but I do still like.
Are they just over his antics or what?
I
I
mean,
think Tomlin might be kind of sick of what's going on there with him.
So it's time for Tomlin to go then. He can never keep a star happy. I mean, AB.
I mean, the Steelers are just constantly getting these diva receivers, though, like just massive divas.
Tell me one receiver in the league that ain't a diva. I really
Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison
because
Jr.
he's a rookie. Give him 4 years.
Amari Cooper.
He's not good enough.
What?
Bro, he's leading the league.
How can you say that? He's better than Pickens.
He's leading the league in drops.
He's been better than George Pickens. George Pickens has been in the league for 1 year. You're claiming he's better than Amari Cooper?
Yep.
Come on, dude.
No, that's the Deshaun Watson effect.
Get out of here with that.
No, but I mean, I don't know. I just think of like a lot of great receivers. They were divas. Now you're right. Pickens has a lot more to prove before he can do it. Third year, though, he had that year with Ben. His rookie year, he was a beast. Last year, Kenny Pickett was the problem. This year, to be decided. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think Tomlin's got to go. If they don't win a playoff game this year, he's out of there.
I mean, I would never, if I was a Steelers fan, I'm never firing Mike Tomlin. He's taken these terrible rosters to like insane heights. He just continues to do it.
You know what? I tell you, coming from a Steelers fan, living among Steelers fans, that man's been on the hot seat since 13.
I understand, and he has been. You guys should fire him. Listen to the fans, fire him, and then we'll fire Kevin Stefanski, and he can stroll on over and he can come coach the Browns. I'd be totally okay with it.
No, listen, I don't think he's a bad coach, but I do think he has a problem managing superstars. I do really believe that.
Okay, that might be true.
You know, maybe, I don't know. Belichick did it well, but has anyone else? I feel like everyone else has caved a little bit.
Yeah, true.
Right.
How would you feel about – so Jaylen Warren might return this week.
I saw that.
And I think that he might have some value on his rushing line. If Najee's going to be – I mean, 66.5 is pretty high for Najee here, but I think this Raiders team could be ran on.
So let me put it in my model and tell you I would assume even if he came back, the amount of attempts would be down. So let's say he plays 9 attempts, you think maybe?
I don't even think that much.
So my model spit out 8.8 based on what he did earlier in the season, 42 yards. I think that's doable.
I think he's just a more efficient back than Najee. So, like, it's something that I want to look into as the season progresses. I think that split's going to tighten up a lot more than it has so far.
Yeah, especially if Warren stays healthy. Yeah, I can see it.
I just like Najee 3.9 yards per carry, then 1.5 yards per carry versus Indy, who's a bad run defense, then 3 yards per carry versus Dallas. It's like Najee's just not an efficient runner.
No, you're right. And I don't think he's playing behind the right line. I think he's a very like up and down back.
Yeah.
You need a better line.
He's running from shotgun a lot, which it doesn't make sense for his skills.
I agree. Warren is a much better at getting to the outside.
Yeah.
And that's just more exciting to watch. You know what I mean? That's all for me in this game, though. You got anything else?
There's really not much.
There's not much out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, Aiden O'Connell's like being quarterback is disgusting. I don't understand why we're benching Minshew for Aiden O'Connell. Like, what are we doing here? Like, is that not the most like that seems like just a backwards move.
Especially since your best offensive player's been out the last 2 games.
Like, what kind of coaching is that?
Not good coaching.
Like you have a short leash with a guy who was known to not be a good quarterback. Like, at least he pushes the ball down the field, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of the mistakes on Las Vegas don't fall on Minshew's shoulders at this point.
I don't understand what they're doing, dude.
No. Losing, trying to get Shador.
You're going to lose with Minshew either way. Like,
I like it. You're right. I mean, honestly, I could see the under. Let's see what's happened against Pittsburgh. Cooked, injured,
under, but
you were on.
Maybe not.
You leaned on.
No, I just wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a Brock Bowers situation, but now when you have a quarterback change, you just don't know how the targets are going to come around.
Agreed. Let me tell you where I was at, assuming there wasn't a change. 49.25 on 4.53 receptions, so there's no value there. Yeah, receptions aren't open. 42 in the markets between 47 and 50. Oh, wait, no. Yeah, 49.25. Sorry. Yeah, no value. Pickens, let me tell you, I know there's value, but I don't want to touch it. 61 yards. I'm not touching this, though. He pissed me off last week. Him and Arthur Smith both. 61, lean over, 15 yards. Definitely an edge. I'll be pissed when
cutting down the snaps of your best players. Just like
it's unreal.
It doesn't make sense. Look at that snap count.
It's stupid.
50s. I don't understand that decision making.
I don't know either. Fryermuth 31. I'm at 27. Little bit of a lean to the under, but nothing in particular there. We'll tell you, Najee, I'm at 59 when the market's 66. I do believe that's the first time all year I've been under market. All right, good to move to Atlanta.
Yep.
Atlanta at Carolina. Let me get you a price. Atlanta is a 5.5 to 6 point favorite with a total of 47. Carolina's looked better since Andy Dalton. They've went from like by far the worst to near the worst. I'll let you go into the coverages, and then I do have a lean or two, but nothing official.
Same. So Carolina playing man at only 16.3% of the time. That's 30th in the league. They're a super heavy one high team, second most one high in the league. 56.3% of the time they're going to be playing cover 3, and then 15.6% of the time they're going to be playing cover 1. So like those are just their main splits. Atlanta, another heavy zone team, 76% of the time they're going to be playing zone. Also another heavy cover 3 team, 43% of the time, 12.6% cover 1.
All right, so I had a few leans in this. The first one I want to run by you. What do you think about Chuba Hubbard rushing yards over? Do you have any interest? I know it's a negative game script, but haven't they all been?
And they have all been. I will say that coming off the pup, Jonathan Brooks, I'll stay away from this. I think it's going to become. He was their second round pick this year, so
I'm not going to play this either. Like I said, I have a few leans, and I'm not
really good. But
he's been killing it. They've all been negative game scripts. If you look at the Atlanta defense, what are they struggling against? Rushing. You know what I mean? Like I'm all over Hubbard in that regard. I didn't really realize their second round pick, who is a running back, is coming back this week. That's even additional reason to stay off. He did lose rushes last week, but he had 13 rushes for 97 yards. So he's been balling. This is my strongest lean. Also have a lean on Bijan Robinson over, but it's not near enough.
I do too.
So I'm at 79.5, just about 80 in my model projections. 69.5. FanDuel's at 65. Like,
what about rushing and receiving?
I'll give you my model projections, but I just don't trust the coaches to use them appropriately. Like, that's my biggest thing.
I'll say that my analysis on this and why I think Bijan is due for a big game here is if you go down to his snap percentages and show everybody that real quick, high snap percentages, and then after that third game, he was dealing with some hamstring stuff. So lower snaps the next week, and then you had a quick turnaround to Thursday night.
Right now he's coming.
So
off
another low. So now you're coming off about a 10-day rest, and I think it makes a lot of sense for him to kind of jump back up to like that lead back role that he was kind of playing earlier this season. Algiers been solid though, so that's not like a given.
I love it. I love your kind of 10-day break there outlook. I think I may have overlooked that. Let me put Algier in here. But for Bijan, 105, 104.71, if we're getting down to specifics on his rush and receiving. I may actually like rush yards better at 65.5. Algier.
I think it's come up to 69.5.
Has it come up to 69.5? Algier, we'll pull him up. Wow, I'm way over on Algier too. 59 yards on Algier in my model. So I think they're going to run all over Carolina. It makes sense. Positive game script. They should be up a lot.
Same. I agree.
Kind of like Algier better now that we've kind of broke into it.
See, I like Bijan just because of that rest.
Yeah, you're so right about that. I'm just going to stay off both guys, I think.
Same. Yeah. You don't like Bijan's receiving at all?
No, actually, I don't. I think it was actually slightly less or right at.
Let me just tell you what running backs have done against them real quick. Alvin Kamara, 5 for 27. J.K. Dobbins had 1 for 0. Then we had Alexander Madison at 3 for 37. Zach Moss had 4 for 27. Chase Brown had 2 for 12. And then DeAndre Swift had 2 for 47. So the yards have been there.
I'm right at 25.02. I'm right with the market.
This was 23.5 earlier.
And it looks like
I stayed off of it, but
a couple of these guys, it looks like they took one catch for a chunky yard.
Yeah.
Which Bijan can do. I mean, once you get the ball,
100%.
He's super talented. But I don't want to be sweating. Like, what is the receptions line here? 2. I don't want him to get one catch for negative yards, 3.5 super juice to the negative to the minus. No, I'm too worried about it. This has been another one where I've played this one kind of regularly, but not this week. Positive game script, maybe even a targets go down 1 or 2. Positive game script for the team, negative for his reception. So I'm going to stay away from that one this week. Like rushing yards more.
How do you feel about Drake London under 68.5 receiving yards? This was my biggest lean in this one.
65. I agree with you. Not enough for me to play it.
So just because they play so much cover 3, I'll just give you his target share against cover 3 this year. It's like 16% or something like that. It's really down. And so if he's only getting like a 6, like that is such a high line. I know his like targets have just gone up and up and up and up every single week.
Yeah.
It's kind of what keeps me away from wanting to bet it, but yeah, 17.5% target share against cover 3 this year on 50 routes, which is kind of a decent sample size. Only 10 targets. That's pretty low. They're going to, like half the time, Carolina's going to be running cover 3. And you got to think J.C. Horn's probably going to get the assignment here on Drake London as well.
What's even more kind of amazing, brother, is Tampa Bay runs 43% cover 3. So Cousins was finding him basically when they weren't in cover 3. So you can take that 2 ways. Like against cover 3, he is kind of struggling, or anytime they're not in cover 3, Kirk might find him because the target share has been through the roof.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm at 65. I'd probably just stay away from this one in general. But if you put a gun to my head, I'd take the under. Any other leans for me? Kyle Pitts. Where's Kyle Pitts at? 33.5. Where am I at?
Hopefully under. Hopefully under, because this dude is a bum.
Bro, I sat him one time in my league this year. He had 100 yards that week. 46.21. I do lean over. He had 88 yards last week. Sorry. I thought he had 100. I'll lean over. I do. I don't like the fact that they're going to be beating the hell out of him. Although I think his coverage,
his reception,
look at him versus cover 3. I think he's leading the
It's
team.
bad.
Maybe he has the only
13% target share.
Does he have a touchdown versus
Right.
cover 3? I might be thinking of the wrong guy.
Possibly. 10.5% target share this year versus cover 3. Not good at all.
3.5 super juice to the under.
Yeah,
Super
I figured that would be the case.
My projections there. You know how people like those negatively correlated parlays? 2.81. So I lean under, even though the market price is jack shit. And then over on the reception. So interesting there if you kind of wanted to play one of those. I haven't dove into those, but I know they're kind of popular now. Any other leans for you? I think I said this. I lean over on Kirk.
Mooney over. I lean over on Mooney. And then
Mooney
that's
over.
it. Yeah.
48.5. I am at 65.8. But are they going to need it? And London's the one, right? Like
they might
London,
just throw a ton with. They might just throw a ton in general, just because they have Kirk Cousins now. I don't.
it seems like the number 2 guy versus this team has gone over quite a few times. I like Mooney better than I like London, actually. If you're asking me which of those 2 leans, I like Mooney maybe more than I like Bijan, actually, now that I'm kind of looking at this. The only thing I
Mooney
don't
21 target share versus cover 3 this year with a 15-yard A dot. So leading the team in targets, target share.
And we get a cheaper price. Is his A dot higher than London's versus cover 3?
Yeah. London's at 9, 14.6 for Mooney.
I mean, doesn't this feel like a layup, kind of? Do I have to
It's been
take
really good this year. What's the spread?
a lot? 7. Let me hold on. 6.5. 65.87 on 5 receptions.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. Like those are my 2. I lean London under, Mooney over.
Hold on, just give me a second because I might play this one right now.
It's just the game script. It's just.
Yep, exactly. They're up 14-21, third quarter. He's got 40 yards, but they never throw it again. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to leave this one as a lean too, but man, I really like this one.
Same.
All right.
If this was even like a 3-4 point spread, it'd probably be all over it. But
exactly. We got another one here. Joel's going to have a play for us in this one. Detroit at Dallas. Let me make sure I said that right. Detroit at Dallas. Yeah, Detroit at Dallas. Detroit is a 3-point favorite, 51.5, 52.5 on the total. Joel, I'll let you break down the coverages, and then we do have a play for the people.
yeah, Detroit, 37.9% man this season. 34.5% cover 1, and then 19.8% cover 3, 22% cover 4. Dallas 21.1% man, so they're playing a bunch of zone, and 21.1% cover 1, 37.9% cover 3, 13.7% cover 4. I got CeeDee Lamb at 74.5 receiving yards. This is all the way up to like 80 some plus now. I still think he probably covers it. This is probably CeeDee Lamb's best matchup of the season, and it just feels like one of those spots where like CeeDee Lamb probably gets right. Last season he was, I think, the best receiver in the league in terms of yards per route run versus man coverage. So if the Lions are going to play a bunch of man, that plays right into CeeDee Lamb. And they've been getting cooked by slot receivers. When you look at the Lions in week 1, they gave up 14 receptions to Cooper Kupp for 110 yards. And then Chris Godwin followed that up with 7 for 117. Dortch didn't do much, but I mean, that's Dortch. And then Njigba had 8 catches for 51 yards. I don't think this secondary is very good. And yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb just cooks in this one.
Super
for such a get right.
You're right. Due for a get right game. Super upset. You texted me about this one before you released it. I told you my model agreed with it. You locked it in. I watched the model move. The market moved, and now it's too late. Do really love it at the price that you released it at, though. Think it's a great play. Obviously, the market 100% agrees with you. I think this game's going to be a shootout. 52, the highest total in the home market this week. 52 and a half, even at some places. So I love it. I think this is a spot you could ladder CD up to 100. I know the
Yeah,
odds
same.
may not be great, but I do think this is one of those games where he definitely has the potential to break 100 this season. Let me just go ahead and put a check by that. Yeah, I don't have any other leans in this game. I love that one. I looked at Rico. I don't like his rushing yards. Don't like his receiving yards. Let me
I thought
give
you
you.
Jamison Williams double his.
Oh my God, Jameson Williams. I do have a huge lean in this game. So let's break this down while we're on stream. Because Amon, I think I was slightly over, like right around 77.
I personally
78.
like him on here.
I have Jameson Williams at like, what did I tell you? 93 yards. 1 second here.
Yeah, it was like 90.
93.9.
Virtually double.
I love this one. Neighbors 115.
Just so you guys know, Jose Ramirez just hit a home run. Go Guardians.
Woo! What score?
2-1. 2-1 guards. 2-1 guards.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'll look at this as well. Let me just look at his or target shares versus the coverages that
Yeah, see if you can talk me into this one. I might have to be on this one. I think it's going to be a shootout, 54 and a half. He's over this in 3 or 4 games this season. I don't see any reason it's this low, like against this Dallas defense.
you have his numbers versus zone.
I do, and his target share is way down the last 2 weeks. 1 second, I'll give you versus zone.
Super down. That's the thing that scares me. It's like
Yep,
it's
I'm
kind of like
seeing-
he's regressing back to what he was last season almost.
I'm seeing it. All right. Jameson Williams, 21% target share versus zone, 14.36 average depth of target. Yards per reception is 20.20. That's why his my projections are so high. I'm sure reception yards per game, 50.50 versus zone. Yeah, he's
Their highest coverage is going to be cover 3.
okay.
Where Jameson Williams has a 15.4% target share to Amon-Ra's 29%.
Don't love it.
But dude, look at the snap percentage. Those targets got to come back up at some point. It could be here.
I agree with that. I mean, 96% of snaps last week.
Let's see if they're forcing it more out wide.
See, that's what I was trying to go
Slot.
through. And like some neighbors.
Cowboys 41.5% wide target, only 29% to the slot. So
Hold on a second here. WILLI. Go. Let's go. Oh, my fault. Hold on. The wrong thing. What is his team yards this year versus cover 3? Do you see that team yard share?
His air yards is 34%. His team yards is 21.8%. 1.97 yards per route run.
And did they play a lot of cover 1, or 1 high?
Cover
2?
3. Cowboys are going to be mostly 1 high 61% of the time.
Let me see this.
It's definitely an interesting one. That Seattle game, though, man, 2 catches for 80. He had that
No one bombed.
massive bomb, yeah. The last 2 weeks scares me out of this one.
15.4% cover 3 1 high. Yeah, I'm off of it. 1.97 yards per route run, where Amon's at 2.17. I mean, I don't know if that gap really attests for the gap between their line, though.
Do you like any of these running backs?
So
susceptible to the run.
my problem is, as I like both running backs, Montgomery and Gibbs.
Look at Gibbs' longest rush.
Gibbs' longest rush.
Just look at the chart.
Wow.
This is at 14.5 on MGM, by the way.
I mean, just look at his career.
I think this was at 13.5 whenever I first looked at it. Problem is, yeah, I think they've been pretty solid against it.
They have Kamara, Justice Hill, Derrick Henry. They just struggled versus the run this game in general. Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
So I'll give you my projections on each of these guys, and this is why it makes it hard for me to play this because I have Gibbs at 87 yards. Huge edge, right? 30 yards. Then I have Montgomery at 78 yards, which is also a huge edge. And
They've both been running crazy.
I know, and I can't really decide which one
I prefer Gibbs, I think. I don't.
I like Monty to score at -130. I'd lock this in before it moves. Maybe use Profit X. Sometimes they have smaller holds. I like Monty to score at 130. You said you lean Gibbs on the yards?
Yeah. Gibbs just has the big playability that I think I like
Agreed.
more.
Definitely
So,
has that.
he could bust like a 40-yarder, like a 35-yarder.
He's the one
I think
definitely.
Montgomery's just bruising.
He's less correlated to his attempts. You know what I mean? Like Montgomery's probably going to get you that 4 to 5 yards per attempt, but he's not going to have the breakaway play. Gibbs, you could easily get that 15, 20-yarder just as the market there is indicating. I like both guys. I think I also leaned over on Goff's passing yards. 243. I'm at 293, man. I don't know. See, that's why I'm so confused with this game. I'm sure it's going to be a shootout because my passing yards are over. I've got receivers going over. I've got runners going over. Hard for me to kind of dial in
dome
where I think the most value is on this game. I honestly, though, full transparency to everyone watching, I think I'll have more plays in this game by Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one where you got to circle some stuff up.
All right, 2 games left. We got to play in the next one. You've got to play in this one, and I've got some leans in the next one. We're going to go Cincy at the Giants. Cincy only a 3.5-point favorite. Neighbors didn't practice today. I thought that would move the line. But the Giants have played, I think, above people's expectation, while the Bengals have generally played below people's expectation. So 3.5 might be right where it's supposed to be. Markets at 48.5 on the total. One of the higher totals this week. I'll let you go into coverages and then your play.
Yeah, 29% man for the Bengals, 33% cover 3, 21% cover 1, and then they'll just mix in cover 2 and cover 4. The Giants, pretty similar split here, 25% cover 1, 35% cover 3, and then they'll just mix in cover 4 and cover 2 as well. I played Jamar Chase over 5.5 receptions. I think this is going to be pretty heavily juiced by the time Sunday gets around. I'd play this up to about -140 probably. When Chase has played with Burrow and with Higgins, he's over in 16 of the last 21 dating back to 2022. The Giants, like I just stated, heavy cover 1 and cover 3. That's what they're mostly going to be playing. The last 2 years, over a 25% target share against those. This season, 29.7%. Last season, 27.4%. Burrow has a 33.5 attempts line. I think they're going to have to throw pretty much all year long just to keep up with how bad that defense is. So with that kind of target share and with those kind of attempts, I've got him at 8 to 10 targets. I think you only need 7 targets to get it done because his catchable target rate's 83%. I think this should basically almost always be a 6.5 reception line nowadays. Those red at the end of last season were when Burrow was hurt, so you can kind of just chuck those out. I just think this is, just a poor line.
Oh, averaging 6.7 in wins with Burrow. I really like your read here. I think you released this at even money. Is that right?
Yeah, I got it -114 at Rivers.
-114. So now it's moved a little bit. You're saying it's still playable to 140. Looks like a couple spots.
I'd play it to 140, yeah.
I love this read. I think there's going to be a lot of action in this one. I think 48.5. I personally think the total might be a little low. Neither of these defenses have really impressed me where both offenses have moved the ball better than I thought. I guess the rush defense here for the Giants isn't bad, but it's not one that scares me. And I think Cincy's going to move the ball pretty well. I like in your write-up you said basically for them to move the ball, they're going to need to be able to throw it. So I love the read. My model projections are right around 5.5, slightly over. Not a big edge for me on my model, but I think this is the perfect game for him to kind of get those 7, 8, 9, 10 targets, and that's where he'll make up for the extra.
Yeah, and I think your model's a little skewed by that 3-catch game. Just
Agreed.
against the Panthers.
35-yard game too. That's why my yards are a little light on that one. Did you have any other leans in this game?
There really wasn't much else out.
You're right.
So but when I saw Chase, I knew that wasn't easy.
I think it kind of plays perfectly with yours. I like Burrow's passing yards over in this game. He had 392 last game, 324 3 weeks ago. I just think for them to kind of outscore this team, they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. So 284 last week to Geno Smith. That's the only guy that's gone over this number.
I've been saying that the Giants secondary is bad though, but Sam Darnold only threw the ball 10 times. He only threw the ball 24 total times.
Right.
Because they were winning by so much.
Right.
Yeah. Those numbers are just not accurate. The Giants have done a really good job the last 2 weeks of like having these long, weird drives where they just like take a bunch of time in possession.
Yes.
And so I'm hoping that's not the case this week.
So that's all for me. I don't have anything else in this one.
Me neither. I think any of the Bengals running backs receiving lines might be pretty good. Running backs versus the Giants. Yeah, the receiving's been pretty good. Aaron Jones 2 for 15, but Ty Chandler had 3 for 25. Austin Eckler 3 for 47. Jerome Ford 3 for 33. Dowdle only had 1 for 15, but Lupke had 2 for 14. Kenneth Walker just had 7 for 57 last week, and Charbonnet 3 for 19. So there could be something there.
Yeah, as lines open up, make sure you guys keep an eye out on that. One game left. I don't have anything because the coach got fired, and I don't know how this offense nor defense is going to look. Buffalo versus the Jets. Jets are 2.5-point dogs. Total on this one's 40.5, 41. Depending where you look. Again, I don't have anything in this, Joel. I don't know if you did, but go over coverages.
Maybe I do have a couple that I'd like to talk about.
Perfect.
So the Bills, only 18.3% man, 75.6% zone. They're the 5th highest team in terms of too high. 27.4% cover 3, 16.2% cover 4, and 22% cover 2. And then the Jets are a heavier man team. They're 6th most man in the league, 35% of the time. 33.1% of that is going to be cover 1, 24.7% of that cover 3, and then 21.7% cover 4. My lean is Aaron Rodgers under 33.5 longest pass. I played this last week with Stroud, and he like torched it with like a 76-yard bomb. But with the Bills playing all this too high, still so far this season, there's only been one pass over 30 yards against them, and that was that 67-yard touchdown. The Cardinals had their longest pass was 24 yards. The Bills had a 21-yard pass. The Jaguars 24, and then a 26. They've only allowed 8 total passes over 20 yards this season.
Wow.
And Rodgers hasn't really, I mean, he's getting up there in age. He hasn't really been pushing the ball down the field. So this is one I'm heavily leaning on the under right now.
Let me pull this up. Last game, I think I did have a lean to Alan Lazard, but that was so sweaty last week. I didn't want to touch it. Rodgers, I'm only at 209. I think that's significantly below market.
I think he was at 226.
All right, so yeah, fairly below market. I mean, it kind of plays right into your longest pass under too. I like that. Breece Hall, no opinions from me. 50.
I think this is a nice bounce back game for Breece. I really do. Like I just said, with the too high looks that Buffalo's going to throw, that means light boxes. So Breece has struggled with yards before contact this season. I think Buffalo allows the most yards before contact.
Okay.
So like this feels like a real nice spot for Breece to get going.
I'm at 52, so it's funny I'm right with the market, but I do agree. Too high, light box, great get right spot for him. Do you like rushing or
Yeah,
receiving?
Buffalo. I like both of them. So
Okay.
I would like a rushing and receiving line. 2.6 yards before contact per attempt from Buffalo this year. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So if they're going to allow Brees to get 2.6 yards before contact, I think this is like just like the perfect. Oh, is his receiving yards out?
I believe so. Yeah.
Because the Bills, because of all that too high, are getting just annihilated in terms of pass catchers. James Conner, 3 for 33. Amari DiMarcardo, 2 for 26. Achane had 7 for 69. Etienne had 4 for 17, but Justice Hill had 6 for 78. Derrick Henry had 3 for 10. And then Agumbawale just had 6 for 57.
I like receiving better than rushing because Braylon Allen's look good, but he's still getting all of the passing snaps.
What does your model say for receiving?
Only 31, so it's an edge, but I like to get just a little bit more.
I lean his rushing and receiving. I might end up being on that this week because I honestly do think it's a bounce back spot for Brees. I like Braylon Allen a lot, but I still think that they're still leaning mostly on Brees in the run game, and I think he could have maybe like 15 carries here.
I like the receiving. I like the receiving for Brees Hall. I might be on that one by Sunday too. Anything else in this one from you?
That's it. I really like the Rodgers under, and then looks like none of the Bills pass catchers are even up yet.
Right.
But it could be a Shakir game because but that secondary is really tough. Pretty sure they force a lot to the slot.
Man, I said this on stream last week and I didn't do it. What are they allowing? Passing touchdowns, 15th. Is it a lot of ones or twos scoring on them? It's not really ones. There's only been 2 passing touchdowns to receivers. I might be on Lazard anytime touchdown before Sunday. I said that last week. It fucking cashed and I didn't play
Plus
it.
310. Wow.
It's a plus 330 last week. He's getting the red zone targets. Look, 3 last week, bro. He's leading this team, I think.
Yeah.
With Rodgers, 1 red zone target over in 61%, and I can lay 310. I'll be on that by Sunday. You can almost book it. All right, anything else? If not, I'm going to recap everything we've got, give these people time to get their plays in. We've got about 25 minutes until we kick off. I'll start with mine first. I'm going Austin Eckler over 19.5 receiving yards. Lock that in at 110. CJ Stroud over 241.5 passing yards. Lock that in at 115. Trevor Lawrence under 249.5 passing yards. Lock that in 145. You can call that a glitch line. Derrick Henry over 80.5 rushing yards. Lock that in at minus 114. Kenneth Walker over 79.5 rushing yards. Lock that in at minus 117. And then Josh Jacobs over 65.5 rushing yards. I don't have your odds. Do you want to read yours off or you just want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect.
I got so I locked in earlier today DeAndre Swift over 15.5 receiving yards versus the Jaguars at minus 120 at MGM. Josh Jacobs over 65.5 rushing yards versus the Cardinals at minus 114. AJ Brown over 67.5 receiving yards at minus 115. CJ Stroud over 241.5 passing yards versus the Patriots at minus 110. CeeDee Lamb over 74.5 receiving yards versus the Lions at minus 120. Amari Cooper over 48.5 receiving yards versus the Eagles at minus 110. And then Jamar Chase over 5.5 receptions at minus 114.
Let's go. All right, fellas, that'll be it for us today. I appreciate y'all for tuning in between the 2 channels and the Props.cash retweet. We had over 2,500 concurrent viewers, so we appreciate each and every one of you guys that tuned in. We will go over all of our plays again next week to recap. We were up 7 units this past week. We're looking to do that again for y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday. Best of luck this weekend. Let's go.
Later, y'all.
All right, man. I appreciate it.